Shalom, family. Shalom. Let me know how my audio is. Make sure you come in, like, share, subscribe. Welcome to another Fire of God Bible study. Today we are reading from Judges chapter 17. And like usual, who knows how far we'll get. But we're going to be focused on making sure we're getting the raw reading and edification in the spirit of the Most High. I hope that your morning is starting off well. Shalom, shalom. Welcome to your first Bible study with us, brother. Shalom, shalom. Good to see you, family. We will speak a little bit after class and get you started off in the coursework. You know, we like to treat it like a refreshing, so you're gonna be starting over from scratch. All praises to the Most High. Lily in the building, shalom. Brother Lonnie in the building, shalom. Let's not focus on packing the room, but let's definitely get the link shared out. Make sure that the core brothers know what's going on, and we'll just start reading. And meanwhile, everybody get your sword turned to Judges 17. Babies in the building. Shalom, baby. Shalom and good morning. Brother Taz in the building. Shalom, shalom. You got competition, Taz, man. You wasn't the first one in the room today. I think that the brothers here to give you a run for your money on the punctuality. Come on, man. You the security manager. Shalom, brother. I don't know why, but I'll be in a particularly good mood doing these Bible studies with y'all. Maybe it's because I just like the simplicity of going into the word to see what those before us was trying to tell us. Maybe that's why. After all, I am a simple man. Yeah, I know. I'm giving you a hard time, brother. I'm giving you a hard time. It's not warranted, though. Big Bird Boy, shalom, shalom. Let me make sure this internet connection is as stable as I could possibly manage. And let me share my screen. How's y'all morning going so far? What y'all got going on today? Okay, so Taz said he's dealing with a loose bull mastiff. Okay, so you getting drool all on you from a random dog. Lonnie said he taking it easy. Yeah, I mean you gotta get those leg rollers out, brother. You gotta get them leg rollers out. I know you be sore from work. Hey, brother Masharab says going great. All praises. That's what I like to hear. After all, a lot of us are about to start the work week back up tomorrow, so we better have a good Sunday. B-Bird Boy said the magic word. He said chicken, but he went further and said he said marinating some chicken. Lord in Christ. Baby said checking out some open houses with me. That's a fact. Looking forward to that. All praises to the Most High. If you're in the Washington, particularly the Kent, Seattle, Washington area, and you're looking for some real estate, reach out. We're gonna do a big call after class, a group call. So, and if you're not able to get your question addressed there, then we can definitely talk after. My brother Masharah, all praises. Y'all share this link out. Again, we're in Judges 17. Give me 1 second to handle something real quick. All praises, all praises. I'm obviously back. Let's get to it without further ado. Actually, give me one more second. Okay. Good God. Y'all, man, my head look like chopped chicken. Otherwise, I wouldn't even have this on right now. All right, so there was a man of the hill country of Ephraim whose name was Micah, and he said to his mother, "The 1,100 pieces of silver that were taken from you, about which you uttered a curse, and also spoke it in my ears, behold, the silver is with me. I took it." And his mother said, "Blessed be my son by the Lord." And he restored the 1,100 pieces of silver to his mother. And his mother said, "I dedicate the silver to the Lord from my hand for my son, to make a carved image and a metal image. Now, therefore, I will restore it to you." So when he restored the money to his mother took 200 pieces of silver and gave it to the silversmith, who made it into a carved image and a metal image. And it was in the house of Micah. And the man Micah had a shrine, and he made an ephod and household gods, and ordained one of his sons, who became his priests. In those days there was no king in Israel. Everyone did what was right in his own eyes. Now there was a young man, of Bethlehem in Judah, of the family of Judah, who was a Levite, and he sojourned there. And the man departed from the town of Bethlehem in Judah to sojourn where he could find a place. And he had journeyed, and he came to the hill country of Ephraim, to the house of Micah. And Micah said to him, "Where do you come from?" And he said to him, "I'm a Levite of Bethlehem in Judah, and I'm going to sojourn where I may find a place." And Micah said to him, "Stay with me and be to me a father and a priest, and I will give you 10 pieces of silver a year and a suit of clothes and your living." And the Levite went in. And the Levite was content to dwell with the man, and the young man became to him like one of his sons. And Micah ordained the Levite, and the young man became his priest and was in the house of Micah. Then Micah said, "Now I know that the Lord will prosper me because I have a Levite as a priest." Let's just stop there. Who knows, according to the ancient Near East, why this doesn't seem like such a conflict to a lot of Israelites, a lot of Hebrews? Because I know from our vantage point, we're introduced to the scriptures from a, what's the best way to put it? The word escapes me right now. What's the word when you worship and acknowledge one God? What's the technical word for that? Monotheism, right? So we've all been introduced to the scriptures from a monotheistic perspective. Who knows what the perspective of the ancient Israelites were, particularly before the first temple? Because monotheism does become a thing in Israel, but typically that is a second temple thing. Henotheism, that's close. That's close. So let's look at that word real quick. Let's look at that word together. And this is just a quick exercise for us. Let's share my my screen. Uh-oh, somebody came with a second word, the same brother that came with the first one. So henotheism is the belief in worship of a single supreme deity while explicitly acknowledging the existence or possible existence of other deities. Now, keep this in your mind because we don't want to completely cast this out, right? And we're going to now look at the other monolatrism. Who knows the word latreia? Who knows the Greek word latreia? What's that mean? Just playing a little game. So the word latreia in the Greek means to worship. That's what that means. It means to worship. And more importantly, it's the way we worship the Most High. So you have proskuneo, which is to bow oneself down. And then you have latreia. That's the ultimate form of worship that you give to a supreme deity. So what the Israelites are dealing with is monolatrism, particularly once they get the covenant and onward. And those of them that might know about Yah in small pockets, before the whole nation is acquainted with the Most High through them being delivered out of Egypt, right? They begin to become monolatristic. I don't know if that's the proper wordage for that. But monolatrism is the belief that multiple gods exist, but they only make latreia or worship one of them. Only one of those specific deities should be worshiped. Why is this important? Well, the hint lies in the other word that the brother Emmanuel gave us, which is henotheism. Henotheism, share my screen again, is the belief in worship of a single supreme deity while explicitly acknowledging the existence or possible existence of other deities. So the Israelites come from a culture in the ancient Near East where, say, for example, you have El, and then you have his son Baal. There's a pantheon and there's a succession of gods. Or you have other forms of Yahwism where Yah has a wife in some cases, Ashtaroth. And so it's real easy for the Israelites to still associate themselves with these other pocket ideologies, especially when Yah is still involved in some way. So I want you guys to understand the Israelites had their slippery slopes as well. And we talk about the slippery slope. A slippery slope is where, you're dancing on a hillside where you can easily fall. You're taking the stability that you have for granted. All right. And the Most High says, put no gods before me. Put no gods in my face, on my level. Well, what happens when you have a pantheon, and maybe this pantheon, you attribute a different god to a different element like grain and prosperity, and you associate the Most High with rain? What happens is the Most High is not getting his due. Even when you deal with the monolatrism, the acknowledgement of the gods is a slippery slope because they're still being acknowledged as God, even if you're acknowledging Yah as the Most High. And sometimes we take for granted the slippery slopes that we're standing on, and we don't pick the solid foundation the same way that the ancient Israelites didn't. I think if we're able to see those parallels It could help us to walk more carefully. Right now, people's worst enemy is the idol that they have in themselves, the things that they want to do. And sometimes the ego allows them to mask it as if they want to do it for the Lord, but really they want to do it for them. But they want to do it for them for the Lord. They're like, I want to do this thing, so I will dedicate it to the Lord. Therefore, it is justifiable just in the back of their mind. That's how psychology can work. So you have to constantly check yourself. Am I doing the thing that the Lord said, or am I doing the thing that I want to do? Am I doing as thou wilt? As the demon Sir Aleister Crowley propagated in his doctrine that pretty much governs the modern age. I call it do as thou wiltism. We have the internet, we have our reflection, we have our image that we can prop up to any degree that we like. And so it's very easy to get caught up smelling our own funk and getting caught up in our own aura, being mesmerized and making ourselves into idols. Right. I just wanted to point that out because what we're going to do is we're going to look at this situation and we're going to think about how pathetic it is that this young man would, give his mom money so she can make idols out of it. And, now he wants to be a priest to the idols. And now the Levites coming in the house and, he's going to be a priest as well. They're caught up in their own fault. They're caught up in their own stank. And, they want to make cologne out of it. And a lot of us do the same thing, just in different ways. It don't have to be a statue set up. Sometimes we're the statue. So just a cautionary tale, y'all know I like to venture off and find those little tidbits in these classes so that we could be reflective as we get ready for the week that's in front of us. All right. So let's move forward. We are now in chapter 18, Sips Coffee. It's nasty, but it's strong. I need it. They about to find out for sure, Brother Gabriel in the building. Only the Most High gets that worship. Absolutely. Only the Most High Yah gets that worship. In those days, there was no king in Israel. And in those days, the tribe of the people of Dan was seeking for itself an inheritance to dwell in. For until then, no inheritance among the tribes of Israel had fallen to them. So the people of Dan sent 5 able men from the whole number of their tribe, from Zorah and from Eshtaol, to spy out the land and to explore it. And they said to them, go and explore the land. And they came to the hill country of Ephraim, to the house of Micah, to lodge there. When they were by the house of Micah, they recognized the voice of the young Levite, and they turned aside and said to him, who brought you here? What are you doing in this place? What is your business here? And he said to them, this is how Micah dealt with me. He has hired me, and I have become his priest. And they said to him, inquire of God, please, that we may know whether the journey on which we are setting out will succeed. And the priest said to them, go in peace. The journey on which you go is under the eye of the Lord. Then the 5 men departed and came to Laish and saw the people who were there, how they lived in security, after the manner of the Sidonians, quiet and unsuspecting, lacking nothing that is in the earth, and possessing wealth, and how they were far from the Zidonians and had no dealings with anyone. When they came to their brothers at Zorah and Eshtaol, the brothers said to them, what do you report? They said, arise, let us go up against them, for we have seen the land, and behold, it is very good. And will you do nothing? Do not be slow to go, to enter and possess the land. As soon as you go, you will come to an unsuspecting people. The land is spacious, for God has given it into our hands, a place where there is no lack of anything that is in the earth. So 600 men of the tribe of Dan, armed with weapons of war, set out from Zorah and Eshtaol, and went up and encamped at Kiriath Jearim in Judah. On this account, the place is called Mahanadan to this day. Behold, it is west of Kiriath Jearim. And they passed on from there to the hill country of Ephraim and came to the house of Micah. Then the 5 men who had gone to scout out the country of Laish said to their brothers, do you know that in these houses there are an ephod, household gods, carved image, and metal image? Now, therefore, consider what you will do. And they turned aside there and came to the house of the young Levite at the home of Micah and asked him about his welfare. Now the 600 men of the Danites, armed with their weapons of war, stood by the entrance of the gate. And the 5 men who had gone to scout out the land went up and entered and took the carved image, the ephod, the household gods, and the metal image, while the priest stood by the entrance of the gate with 600 men armed with weapons of war. And when these went into Micah's house and took the carved image, the ephod, the household gods, and the metal image, the priest said to them, what are you doing? And they said to him, keep quiet, put your hand on your mouth, and come with us and be to us father and a priest. Is it better for you to be a priest to a house of one man or to be a priest to a tribe and a clan in Israel? The priest's heart was glad. He took the ephod and the household gods and carved image and went along with the people. So they turned and departed, putting the little ones and livestock and goods in front of them. When they had gone a distance from the home of Micah, the men who were in the houses near Micah's house were called out, and they overtook the people of Dan. And they shouted to the people of Dan, who turned around and said to Micah, what is the matter with you, that you come with such a company? And he said, you take my gods that I made and the priest and go away? And what have I left? How then do you ask me what is the matter with you? And the people of Dan said to him, do not let your voice be heard among us, lest angry fellows fall upon you and you lose your life with the lives in your household. I don't know. That's a cold line right there. That's a cold line. Then the people of Dan went their way. And when Micah saw that they were too strong for him, he turned and went back to his home. But the people of Dan took what Micah had made and the priests who belonged to him. And they came to Laish, to a people quiet and unsuspecting, and struck them with the edge of the sword and burned the city with fire. And there was no deliverer because it was far from Sidon, and they had no dealings with anyone. It was in the valley that belongs to Beth Rehob. Then they built a city and lived in it. And they named the city Dan after the name of Dan, their ancestor, who was born in Israel. But the name of the city was Laish at the first. And the people of Dan set up the carved image for themselves. And Jonathan, son of Gershom, son of Moses, and his sons were priests to the tribe of the Danites until the day of the captivity of the land. So they set up Micah's carved image that he had made as long as the house of God was at Shiloh. Disgusting. In those days, when there was no king in Israel, a certain Levite was sojourning in the remote parts of the hill country of Ephraim, who took to himself a concubine from Bethlehem in Judah. Matter of fact, we're gonna pick up there. We're gonna pick up there next week's class, because that's a whole nother bag of dookie right there. Whole nother bag of fertilizer. What we want to end is there's a scripture that says, woe to him that buildeth a town with blood. I would say even more so to him that buildeth a town in idolatry. There's nothing that the Israelites did that is going to, it's not going to be conducive to a healthy future. And we know that. But I think what we can do is leave off with the ultimate message, which is be careful that you idolize nothing in these last days. I've been looking at some unfortunate events. I may or may not do a live stream speaking on it. But the idolatry is so bad in Israel with regards to man worship. Those of you may know there's a sister who is in a relationship with a certain Israelite. That relationship was obviously quite toxic. she has made a few videos now, maybe like 4 or 5 videos now, speaking on her experience in this household. And, while I find it out of place to speak too thoroughly on the relationship because it's not in a council setting, I think it would be proper if the elders came out and, spoke about it so that, um, certain things could be exposed as to if they could back this information. I think that would be the healthiest thing for everybody. But the sister has resorted to, because no change was made after a few councils, it sounds like no progress was made to, change the way the relationship was going. Long story short, she's now making proof videos, and, she's speaking her side of events because she feels like that she's being unheard. And in preparing to tell her story, she says she knows that people are going to say, they're going to downplay it. They're going to blame her. They're going to say she's being emotional, X, Y, Z. I want to highlight how disgusted I am at the men in the community, and sometimes even the women. I want to highlight how disgusted I am in the community. It's real easy to say I'm disgusted with the brother's behavior, but I told my right-hand man, Azariah, that things were going to come out of this body, and it was going to show the true face of the nation as it stands, this so-called community as it stands. And it's doing just that. We are people who are so rooted in idol worship that if it's not a statue, it's a prominent face in the community, we'll idolize that. And we see that happening again and again and again in the book of Judges, where if someone is righteous in the eyes of the Lord and he leads the people, it turns out they're idolizing him, because as soon as that leader is gone, it's not the Most High we continue to follow. It's that we fall off in following the Most High because that prominent figure is gone. Well, now we will defend wicked behaviors and we will victim blame, all in the name of making sure that our favorite face goes untarnished. And while this doesn't represent everybody, it represents too large of a number for any one of us to be comfortable amidst it. And if you know what videos I'm talking about, you should go and look in them comments. You got people in there propping up their agendas. You got people on a war path against polygyny. Then you got brothers in there trying to prop themselves up as the spouse better suited for polygyny. You have people on a war path saying that's why you need to get with this camp. You got people, everybody's out for themselves, and you can see it. Meanwhile, all the sisters trying to do is get support and acknowledgement and some things to change, hoping that the community would be able to at least be a witness, if not force the change. You see what I'm saying? So you get much less support, and you got much more everybody having their own agenda because they idolize themselves, or because they idolize the brother that's being talked about in the videos. And it's disgusting. I would hope that, the brothers that are in this school at Fire of God, if I'm ever doing the wrong things, that they would rebuke me the way that Brother Azariah has when it's been time for him to counsel between me and my wife. Why is that able to happen, though? It's because we do not condone the idolatry. And it's not because we're great. It's because we know that we're the opposite of great. And I want y'all to keep that in mind as you go forward and you do your thing this week. Make sure the Most High is always first. Right? Make sure that you don't fit in. Now is the time to stand out more than ever, because the days of the Israelites being the cool crowd is over. I'm telling you that right now. This community is an embarrassment in many ways because we speak the words of the Lord from off paper, but we don't walk them. All right? And that's if we're reading the words of the Lord in context, because everybody also wants to be a teacher, but we're the teachers of terrible doctrines. Terrible doctrines. We speak of context where you don't you don't find context in the fashion that we point to it. Like, a lot of things are being made manifest in these last days, and a A lot of us don't see it because our heads up our own ASSs. Jacob, shalom, shalom, shalom. So with that, I'm gonna get some time for Q&A, and then we're gonna get up out of here. And then FOG, just beware, we're gonna have a call in the main chat. Join the ministry, Fire of God Classroom at gmail.com. Now is the time for Q&A. Brother Emmanuel, I now see your I now see your comment in the chat that says that the definition was still up instead of the Bible. My bad, y'all. My bad. I see that there are no questions. I'll give it another 30 seconds just in case y'all didn't finish typing your questions, and then we're gonna close out. Can you explain the year of Jubilee? Let's pull it up. Let me find a better translation. So the Lord spoke to Moses on Mount Sinai, saying, "Speak to the people of Israel and say to them, when you come into the land that I give you, the land shall keep Sabbath to the Lord." So keep that in mind. The land that I give you, it shall keep Sabbath to the Lord. So we're about to talk about the land resting. For 6 years you shall sow your field, and for 6 years you shall prune your vineyard and gather in its fruits. But in the 7th year, there shall be a Sabbath of solemn rest for the land, and Sabbath to the Lord. You shall not sow your field or prune your vineyard. You shall not reap what grows of itself in your harvest, or gather the grapes of your undressed vine. It shall be a year of solemn rest for the land. So when this happens, you're not supposed to do any agricultural work. You shouldn't be harvesting, meaning you shouldn't be going through to get the fruit off the vines. You should be letting the land rest and recoup, because it's working when we work. You know, it's serving us. So we need to let the land that serves us to rest for this year. The Sabbath of the land shall provide food for you, for yourself, and for your male and female slaves, and for your hired worker and the sojourner who lives with you, and your cattle and for the wild animals that are in your land, and all its yields shall be for food. You shall count 7 weeks of years, 7 times 7, so that the time of the 7 weeks of the years shall give you 49 years. Then you shall stand. Then you shall sound the loud trumpet on the 10th day of the 7th month, on the day of atonement. You shall sound the trumpet throughout all your land, and you shall consecrate the 50th year and proclaim liberty throughout the land to all its inhabitants. And it shall be a jubilee for you, when each of you shall return to his property, and each of you shall return to his clan. So now it's telling us that there's a day that comes that's similar, except it's for indentured servants as well. So when brothers are in indentured servitude, where Leviticus says, if your brother be waxing poor, falling into decay, allow him to dwell with you. And essentially what he can do is work off his debts. All right. But when this Jubilee comes, it's time to let brothers and sisters go that are under that type of servitude. So the land itself must observe a Sabbath. The concept is most clearly understood when we recognize that the issue of rest in the Bible does not have relaxation as its focus. It's more basically involved with recognition that God is the source and center of order. That's something that we're going to continue to look at when you deal with the book of Genesis. It's a level of honor that we start to pick up when we deal with the creation story properly. It's a way that we treat the temple, right? And the temple, the way you treat it is reflective of your honor towards your God. Well, in Genesis, what the Most High did when he created the world, when he set it in order, was he set up a temple wherein we would minister to him. He would rule over us. When we minister to him, we act as priests in it. So that being said, when you deal with the children of Israel, they're meant to be the priests to the Lord in that sense, as it started with Adam during that time. And then the whole world is supposed to worship as we operate as priests. Again, that's something we're going to get deeper into as we deal with the Genesis series that we're in. But there is a practical benefit derived from resting the land. It's the preservation of the soil's fertility. Large areas of Mesopotamia were abandoned due to high sodium levels in the soil caused by irrigation. You can find information about this in the Ugaritic text as well. But I hope that helps a little bit with that answer. This is a good question. Why do you think there's so much division in Israel amongst our people? Watch this. This is the reason. One of the main reasons, at least. So we're in 2 Timothy chapter 3. Oops. So 2 Timothy chapter 3, verses 1 through 5. This know also that in the last days perilous times shall come, for men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection, truce breakers, false accusers, incontinent, fierce, despisers of those that are good, traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasures more than lovers of God, having a form of godliness but denying the people thereof. From such turn away. And I'm gonna isolate a couple key ingredients. It seems like there's a division amidst the people of God, right? But we got to be careful how we define the people of God. It's obvious that we all believe that we're Israelites, right? But the scripture tells us that those of us who are born again in Mashiach, it's those that are the sons of God. All right. So we don't want to talk specifically in a carnal sense. But when you look at it all in a carnal sense, well, there's no cohesion because, well, what we have began to do is take on a form of godliness, meaning that we have adopted a look. So we all look similar. We wear fringes. We call on the name of the Most High in different iterations. The question is, if that's the case, why aren't we getting along? Well, it's because it's the inner man that is having the conflict. And it goes into this where it says, for men shall be lovers of their own selves. Men are covetous. And this is not excluding the women, but we want to make sure that we emphasize just how key a role we play here is that we're lovers of ourselves, we're covetous, we want that top spot, we want to be unique, we want to be looked at as the one with the deep knowledge. We're boasters, we'd rather brag about our breakdown than agree on a breakdown with somebody else, because then we become less unique. We're too proud to humble down when the breakdown is wrong. We're disobedient. We don't listen to the things that the Most High said and that the Most High called us to do through his son unto peace. We're unthankful. So we put it all on us, like it's all up to us to have all the deep knowledge. We're not thankful for the breakdown that we already have from us yet. We're not thankful for the breakdown that we already have, even dealing with maybe the history our ancestors left us when it comes to how to interpret certain things. But we have the hardest time agreeing because we're lovers of ourselves. It goes into that idolatry that we spoke about earlier today. And what this creates is a thing called a conflict of interest. If your interest is in serving yourselves, then it's going to be hard to serve the Lord. And if it's hard for you to serve the Lord, it's going to be hard for you to be of service to the ultimate goal, which is that, let's do this. Romans 12. Look, we should be willing to sit and have the long, hard, tedious conversation for the sake of casting away what's true and taking a hold of what's good, and maybe even agreeing to disagree for the sake of the greater good. But we can't do that, right? Because a lot of us have not presented our bodies a living sacrifice. We presented our bodies as what appears, again, a form of godliness. But Romans 12 says, I appeal to you, therefore, brothers, by the mercies of God, to present your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to God, which is your spiritual worship. King James says your reasonable service, bare minimum. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that by testing you may discern what is that will of God, what is good and acceptable and perfect. Now, a lot of us, we have started to transform to where we're not necessarily conformed to the world, but we have stopped short of being transformed and completely renewing our mind. We're the same self-serving people that we were when we came on, just wearing a different garb with a costume on. You see what I'm saying? But that's why, brother, in the practical sense. Jacob says, do you teach regeneration like reincarnation? Do you mean somebody dies and then they live again in a different fleshly body? Like you haven't seen the world once, but you don't remember your past life. I don't teach on it. There's a stance for it, but I tend to leave topics like that alone because, well, I don't think they're salvific. But I do believe that the scriptures point to some of that. And I think because it may have been a belief. So in essence, I'm not sure. I'm not confident speaking to it with absolute certainty in a setting where that's a doctrine coming out of here. Any other questions? Any other questions? These are some good questions. I'm going to give it another 30 to 60 seconds. Give you all a chance because I know we don't do Q&A often or for very long for that matter. Hey, of course, Jacob, of course. Of course, brother. Just know when you come here, we'll never make something up on the fly so that we can sound like we got all the answers. So I hope that was helpful. All right. Our class is usually longer than this. Bible study, they'll be anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour. Bible studies are 30 minutes to an hour. When we do classes as Fire of God, those classes are rare because they're very deep. And I want you guys to spend more time digesting them than memorizing material. So for you, brother, what you can expect is that you'll be given, you'll receive a course. It's going to be introductory, and it's going to pertain to the standards that we expect in the ministry, Fire of God, right? It's really depending on how you ask whether or not the classes are long, but they're made to be digestible more than anything. After that, you'll be given your entry to Israel salvation course, right? This is going to allow you to go out and actively do flyer duty. Then after that, there are more deep level classes that you'll be sent. So a lot of the classes that you have to catch up on are pre-recorded. We'll have other classes coming soon, like we just started the Genesis series. So you'll be catching up on Genesis 1, verses 1 through 2. After that, you'll be on part to where you'll be able to listen to the upcoming lesson that is really nationwide access for the rest of Genesis. I think, I don't know, you have to ask the brothers if that was long to them. To me, it wasn't long. Can I get some scriptures urging people to stay on the narrow path? Let me see. What am I thinking of? Here's one of my favorites. I think my screen is already shared. Matthew 20, verses 13 through 18. But he answered one of them and said, Friend, I do thee no wrong. Didst not thou agree with me for a penny? Take that thine is, and go thy way. I will give unto the last, even as unto thee. Is it not lawful for me to do what I will with mine own? Is thine eye evil because I am good? So the last shall be first, and the first last. For many be called. Many are called, right? You know, the Israelites, we're the sand of the sea, without number. But we know a remnant is going to be saved. But few chosen. But few chosen. You see that? And what about, let's go to Matthew 7:13. Enter by the narrow gate, for the gate is wide and the way is easy that leads to destruction, and those who enter by it are many. For the gate is narrow and the way is hard that leads to life, and those who find it are few. Those are the ones that come to mind most prominently. All praises to the Most High. So we are going to move it along. Make sure that y'all are here next week, 11 a.m. West Coast time. We'll do another class, but make sure you write your questions down so that when the day comes, when class is over, we can go over those through the Spirit of the Most High. I appreciate y'all for coming through and joining us. It's been my pleasure. I hope y'all enjoy the rest of your day. FOG, make sure you're tentative because I'm about to queue up a call pretty much right after we close this. With that being said, have a good weekend and 5 shalom's worth of peace. 5 shalom's worth of peace.